reminds me of 1986, year before you were born. I was watching the liftoff. Had the first woman going into space, blew up, killed everybody. And now there's a woman in there. She's going to be the first to make it. She's not the first to attempt. Because of that explosion. That was horrible to watch.
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
The Falcon 9 is supersonic, and we will be passing through Max 2.
10 kilometers.
The largest structural load.
Mach 1.
Max 2.
There's that call out.
Mach 1 is 777 miles an hour.
And we just entered stage 1 bomber abort mode. That's going to take them through the end of the first stage burning just before second stage activates off the coast of North Carolina.
Where's the little one? They in there.
Plus 1 minute and 40 seconds into flight, Dragon and Falcon 9 traveling 709 meters per second. That call to end that show is underway. The Merlin vacuum engine.
Well, they consider that their bed, I guess. Go to bed, man.
Incredible images there as Falcon 9 rocket propelling the Crew Dragon capsule to the ISS. You'll be listening to the official NASA feed and also bits of mission control. David Curley, you are at the launch site at Cape Canaveral. I can imagine no matter how many times you witness a launch, especially a night launch, it is always exciting.
This never gets old. It never gets old.
Punch through the atmosphere.
What a fantastic launch. You know, we saw it go off at 0 and we could watch it for 17 seconds before we started to hear it. And then at about 30 seconds, I could feel my pants and my shirt just vibrating as it just rips apart the air as those 9 Merlin engines just take it up. There you go. We've had Nico
awesome.
and we've had separation. And this is the second stage, which is now firing up.
Yeah.
And that's going to
There we
take
go,
them to
they're glowing
where
red.
they need to be at before they start to
That's
head
one
to the
hell of a
space
huge
station.
jet
And pretty
engine.
soon, SpaceX and NASA will flip these pictures, and we're going to watch.
Not really,
Look,
jet
see right
engine.
there on the left side of your screen. That is the first stage. There are 4 grid fins. It is starting to come back down to Earth. There'll be a sonic boom, and it's going to land. All of this. This is a 9-minute trip uphill for the space capsule, and a little more than 9 minutes for that first stage to come back and land on the barge. You got to come next time, Chris. This is just awesome, and it looks like everything is going to plan so far.
I can't tell you how jealous I am that you're there in person, David Curley. On the left, as you said, we saw stage 1 separate, that will return to Earth. On the right side of your screen is the stage 2, that single Merlin rocket that is continuing
right?
to propel the Crew Dragon
They're already
capsule.
not.
Christian,
They're already
Captain,
out
give us your thoughts.
The Earth.
I mean, out of the
It was
earth.
amazing. I mean, as David said, you felt it in your chest. It lit up the sky. I was here on the balcony
Yeah,
with
they're
all of the
130
VIPs,
kilometers
president
up.
not far away. You could hear
Yeah.
the cheering.
You don't even really have
the
sight
applause.
anymore.
It was just incredible.
You're standing there.
And now we're seeing, not just that second stage engine glowing, just, beautifully bright red, but we'll see soon that first stage coming back. Now, the recovery of that first stage is sort of a bonus to be able to reuse the stages. But in this case, recovering this first stage is particularly important, Chris,
Yeah,
because they
they
want to
drop it over the
this
ocean,
first stage,
you
the
retrieve it.
Crew 1 first
Where do
stage,
you use that
in
shit?
the Crew 2 mission, the next
Because some
mission
engines are
of Cruise
expensive.
in March. So that's what's one of the big milestones that's going to be coming up next. And so far, everything is looking
Almost
really good.
9,000 kilometers per hour.
Unbelievable
This just keeps
velocity there, as you can see.
raising the
Leader
speed.
under screaming
Speed
potential,
keeps
get
going
all the
up.
way up to 17,000.
Almost 10,000 kilometers an hour.
Here at Reese, I'd like to
Which I
thank
wish
you
it would
as
say
a
in
member
miles.
of the SpaceX family.
I understand
This
that
filled
better.
with an awful lot of pride seeing the successful
I mean,
launch.
An awful lot of
Like
pride,
you
but
grasp
I'll be honest
the
with you,
idea.
I'm a bundle of nerves for watching this. I think if you really understand how difficult this is and the physics involved, when there's people sitting on top of there, especially people that you know, it changes the emotions of it tremendously. And we passed through a lot of the big hurdles, maximum aerodynamic pressure, and staging, lighting of the second stage. But until SECO, until the end of the second engine cut off, and we're inserted into a good, stable orbit, my heart's still going to be in my throat all the way up to the end.
Well, Garrett, talk a little bit more about that. Give us some technical aspects of what we're looking at on our screen right now, the Stage 2 engine.
So the stage 2 engine is burning, and it's burning that bright, so that's how it rejects the heat. It doesn't have a cooling system in the nozzle itself like we have in the first stage. It does it just by glowing so red hot. And it's pushing really hard. They're going to get up to 4.5 Gs as they get towards the end of the second stage, which is about the same as it felt on Soyuz or Apollo, but considerably more than we felt on the space shuttle, which was limited to no more than 3 Gs. So they're going to feel this really good as they approach the end, and then suddenly at the second engine cutoff, if everything goes well, the engine will shut off instantaneously, and they'll feel like they'll be propelled forward in their seat. But they're not. They're just no longer being held down in their seat, and they're going to be up in 0 G.
Leland, let's bring you in for your insight. At this point in the launch experience, how does that feel? You've now jettisoned that first stage engine. I know that you were in the space shuttle. How would that be different from this crew inside the Crew Dragon capsule?
Yeah, I mean, when we jettisoned the solid rocket boosters, the ride got a lot smoother. There was a lot of motion. My head was moving. I could barely see the screens. But at that 2.5-minute mark, the solid rocket boosters got smoother, and then we went to a throttling point where we throttled down to 3 Gs because you can't exceed 3 Gs or the structure will come apart. And so we went through that, and then I'm thinking right now about the resilience is going to
It's
space.
amazing because
and
they
we've
can
gone
still
through these
film it,
pandemics and
you
all
know?
these things, and these guys are an example of what humanity looks like going to space. And that's what I'm feeling so much pride and so much optimism about the
Strap a
future
cell
of
phone on the
humanity,
side of it.
resilience, and this
Serious
cruise.
shit.
And as we cross the
Take the heat,
18,000
all that.
kilometers per hour mark, we've reached that entry point. Peggy, I'd like to bring you in. Give us an idea of what the crew is looking at right now. What sort of view do they have outside the Dragon capsule, if any?
Yeah, I wonder what, how it looks like
Well, right
inside.
now, they're probably feeling not on the dark side of the planet, but they're seeing
Like that.
maybe city life that they can see out
Yeah.
those windows. But
Well, the
probably
force.
not even that at this
Yeah.
point.
They have
But
things on their
interestingly,
legs that
they'll be
squeeze
coming into a
real
sunrise
hard.
here shortly.
And their
And I
legs
think that's
from
always
here
impressive.
all the way up.
You fly into
Just like a
the
fighter
sunrise
jet.
and traveling very quickly. and
Squeeze your
What does
leg.
it do?
It's
Pushes the
amazing
blood
to
out of your
come
legs.
across and see that
Pushes the
light
blood
come
to your
into
brain.
the
Oh,
vehicle.
yeah,
Keep
this,
you from blacking out.
And Mike Casimir.
Otherwise, it'd all be
At this
going.
point,
Yeah.
Glover's probably having quite the experience being his first time
Well,
on
that's right.
space. Can you relate to him?
Well, they probably wouldn't.
And what was your
Their
first
brain would
launch
be
into
without
space like?
oxygen for as much time. It'd be
yeah.
dead. So
Well,
they,
I think, yeah, I
in
can't
fighter
also
jets,
relate to Victor really happy.
they bank real hard.
Really excited, I can guarantee it, and elated
like that,
of what's going on.
the inflate,
Kind of
deflate,
blur. And you're so new.
And they
going
push
into
the
space
blood
for
to the
first
brain,
time that it
keep you
went by
from
so
blacking
quickly.
out.
And it made me really want to do it a second
This
time.
is, I mean, we're talking about
Even more than the first one.
G-forces that are
And just before we cut to the
astronomical.
shot of mission control, you
And
can
this
see
is
that
even
second
far
stage Merlin engine,
stronger.
the glow kind of.
27,000
as we
kilometers
had
an
that
hour.
second
They've reached
stage
their
engine
speed.
cut off there. So soon there'll be that separation as the Crew Dragon capsule goes into orbit. Christian Davenport, please weigh in.
Well, we're gonna watch the first stage coming back to land. This is.
So-
Oh, it's coming back to land.
Because the
Or coming
engine
back
is
to
on the camera, but we'll see the
the
smoke
land,
clear.
to land, not,
And there it is.
It's not gonna come back and
Successful
sit
landing of
down.
the first
I
stage.
can imagine.
But
Maybe it
perhaps
does.
More importantly, we have a
Fuck,
nominal
maybe it does.
insertion. We just heard that.
I mean, they
that
always,
means that,
you know, in the past, they
the,
would drop into the
spacecraft
ocean.
is in the second stage or in
They know where they're gonna
orbit.
drop.
We see that
They
second
know where
stage
they're-
engine has cut off. Chris.
Calculate all that
So far,
shit.
so good from launch.
They
The
have
first
ships out
stage
there
and
ready
second stage
for it.
separation, and they're landing on the drone ship, which is just absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, it's fucking
You know, I
right
would
it
say
is.
these guys in
That's
space actually
blows
get
me away,
pretty
man.
good at
Oh,
what
that's
they're doing.
them?
Yeah, that's
Wow.
Here we have a view of the crew inside. They look happy and healthy,
How many
monitoring
crews
the
are
See
there?
that, see that thing?
communicating
That
with
makes
the
sure,
controllers on the ground,
they got-
checking their
got-
trajectory, checking all the
Go in
sensors,
there, see.
making sure that they are
One, he
okay.
looks
There are
like a
touch
dummy.
screens inside
Looks
the
like a
Crew Dragon
mannequin.
How
spacecraft.
many
You
crews
can
are
see them.
there?
It's like an iPhone.
There's 4.
And their gloves, this is pretty cool. Their
Oh.
gloves will work
Last time
on
they went
those,
up, there was 2.
touch screens. So you see
Oh.
the astronauts in there
Now
in those
they're
cool,
cool.
sleek spacesuits, Chris.
Yeah, that's a really cool shot of inside the Crew Dragon capsule. And David Curley, we keep hearing this word nominal over and over again. That, of course, means everything is going normally and according to plan. Well, let's talk a
Your
little
feet
bit
are
about that
strapped
Falcon
down.
9 rocket returning to that barge. It's almost like a magic trick. You know, the smoke clears, and then there it is. Incredible technology.
Yeah.
It is, and I just was loving watching Shannon Walker there, the bottom left of the screen
Yeah,
with
I-
her arms crossed. She just went ahead and started working on her pad, but she looks just so relaxed. And I gotta tell
Oh, that's the
you, we
woman.
got to see
Here,
The
I'm
the
front?
going
entry
left.
burn
No,
of
she's
that
driving.
first stage coming back down. It was like, from our vantage point, right
See the ship
over the
floating around,
countdown
you had to
clock,
catch it
and we could
quick.
just see this little
Over
red
here.
dot out there, and then the burn stopped and it
1,
disappeared,
2,
and then we
3,
got to see
4.
the landing.
Yeah.
And they are the 3 most important words for
It
this
takes 2
stage
people
of
to
this
fly.
mission. And Chris Davenport just talked about it. Nominal, orbital,
Computers
concentric.
are doing most of
They,
the work.
they
You're
are
just
where they're
really
supposed to
watching
be. You can hear them
gauges
every minute giving an
and,
update about the trajectory. This
you know,
is
for
everything's
something
gone.
down
We're
there,
waiting on 2
pressures
big
and things
issues
that you
coming
gotta
up,
watch.
2 big milestones. The things that worry SpaceX and NASA. That'll be docking in about 27 hours. They will get to the space station in about 24, 25 hours, and then dock it at about 27 from right now. And then they'll be there 6 months, and hopefully Crew 2
Oh.
will come up a couple of weeks before they come home. But then the next important part for them is re-entry and splashdown, which is supposed to come.
I thought they
in the
were
spring.
headed to, to the
It
space
just,
station.
it looked like it went without any problems whatsoever, and I gotta tell you, remarkable scenes down here. It was great to see that first stage coming back down here by the Cape. Chris?
Very, very cool. And I believe we're seeing the stage 2 separation on the right side of the screen as Mission Control continues to monitor the mission. Yeah, a reason I want to bring you back in and ask you specifically about the Falcon 9 rocket. Now that it has returned safely to Earth, I believe it landed on a barge in the ocean. What happens now? Do they immediately go out and retrieve that rocket?
Yeah, we prefer to call that the autonomous drone landing ship, but because it's fancier than a barge, you know. But anyway, yes, that barge will go back to port, and they'll take a big crane and pull that rocket off, and then they'll send it back to the hangar and get it ready for its next mission. So that is something that SpaceX now has done over 50 times. It's really remarkable how it's getting so commonplace, really, even though I never get tired of watching it. But overall, the other thing to add is just that I'm so pumped and excited now. My heart rate's starting to come down, and I'm just really happy for the crew on the crew that they got this ascent phase of flight behind. You see that the trunks separate as expected. The next hurdle will be opening the nose cone, which should be coming up soon. I can see in this view that with those cameras being still closed, it'll open soon, and they'll be on their way to the space station.
Gary, congratulations to you as a member of SpaceX on a successful launch. Now, Leland, if they had blasted off yesterday, it would have taken them only 8 hours to get to the space station, but now this is going to take 27 hours because of the positioning of the ISS. So they've got quite a while now before they get there to reflect. How will they spend those additional hours on their way to the International Space Station?
If the malfunctions happen, if something happens with the automatic docking, how do they take over and dock to the space station? So we're always thinking about what is that next failure that can make us have to go into action from manual control or to take control of the situation.
And as David Curley pointed out earlier, the crew looking very, very relaxed. You can see them having raised their visors now, just kind of casually looking at the screens. Everything is going according to plan. Peggy, at what point during this journey to the space station does the crew and the feelings of those G-forces during launch, when do they start to dissipate? Are they starting to feel more
You will narrate it.
Actually, no. Pretty much as soon as the main engine cuts off, they're going to be relaxed in that zero gravity